Are you hiding your ADHD behind a mask? If so, you may be surprised to find you're not alone. Let's talk about that. Hi, I'm David Gibson, and on this channel I discuss mental health from the perspective of someone living with ADHD and dyspraxia. If this sounds like something that you think you would be interested in, consider subscribing to the channel. Click the notification bell to stay up to date. So what is masking? Well, masking is something we all do from time to time, as we attempt to fit in with the crowd and be accepted. So what we do is we hide our true thoughts and intentions and our true feelings behind this invisible mask, so to speak. And so we'll pretend to like a certain thing or a certain person, or we'll pretend to be happy or confident when in fact we're actually feeling the opposite way. And this is a very dangerous behaviour. Now you're probably saying, but wait a minute, don't we all do that from time to time? Well, yes, and I've just said that. But with ADHD, it's a little bit different. Let me explain why. For us, it's more to do with hiding our differences, our neurodiversity as it's known, than actual hiding emotions. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, emotions come and emotions go, and even after those feelings have passed, we've still got ADHD. That is not going to change. But we often pretend not to have ADHD so we don't have to face the stigma that comes with it. And so we're constantly keeping a check on everything that we do or say that may not appear normal to everyone else. Hence, masking. And so you put all your effort and concentration into doing that. Sitting still, making eye contact when you have to, answering questions when you need to, etc., etc. And suppressing the urge to act out and do anything that may be considered weird to everyone else. How many times as a kid were you punished for your weird behaviour? Yeah. Now imagine that these very behaviours that we're speaking of are something that you can actually help. And imagine the obvious frustration that comes with that. And now you can understand why someone would want to hide that. Now there's obvious good and bad with masking. I mean, it can help you with things like making new friends or nailing that job interview that you've wanted. And so for many people, it can feel like something of a safety blanket. But the harsh reality is that masking is often more harmful than good in the long term. The sheer mental effort required to concentrate on monitoring our behaviour and not acting out and doing all these weird things that I mentioned means that we're concentrating so hard on that it's difficult to concentrate on anything else. Now, people with ADHD have limited memory slots as it is, and then when you're taking up those limited slots with thoughts of keeping everything in check and appearing normal, then it makes it even harder to actually take anything in and retain the information that we're given, so we end up forgetting. And of course there's another obvious danger with hiding behind this mask of pretense and appearing to be normal, is that sometimes you can get a bit too good at appearing normal, and then it delays the process of diagnosis or causes problems with actually getting diagnosed, or you get misdiagnosed. Or there's the other danger that when you do actually get diagnosed, you don't get the correct level of treatment because, oh, you appear perfectly fine to me. Now, I actually had a conversation like that with a previous doctor I had. They argued, oh, but you managed fine through your school years, and you managed fine through all the different jobs that you've had, so why is it an issue now? To which I said, well look, it's always been an issue. As for school, I didn't do great at school. I struggled. I mean, I passed my exams, barely, but I passed them. But I didn't get as great grades as I could have because I found it very, very difficult to concentrate on the actual exam. So my grades weren't as good as they should have been. Also, as for my jobs, I haven't had any job for any great length of time because the minute I would start acting out or doing anything that might look a bit weird, I'd be put into a little box and they would phase me out of the company. Now, I mentioned that in another video. I'll leave a little card at the top. You can check that out after this video. So it makes it difficult for people to actually believe that you are struggling sometimes because you seem perfectly fine. It's exhausting as well because, as I said earlier, it takes a lot of effort to concentrate on actually doing that. And so this can actually contribute towards burnout. It can lead to false expectations or even setting unrealistic goals for yourself as you attempt to fit in. And it causes its own problems with that when those expectations are not met, especially in a workplace. And you might feel ashamed or embarrassed or angry at yourself when that mask does eventually start to slip, because it will. It can feel very lonely because you're constantly having to hide parts of yourself to fit in, and that can lead to all sorts of anxiety and even depression. When people with ADHD act out and do these things that people might think is a bit weird, we do these things for a reason, because our ADHD brain is telling us that it's perfectly normal for us. And that's my point. It might look weird to everyone else, but it's not to us. To us, it's perfectly normal. We're trying to suppress this to fit in and stop doing what's perfectly normal for us. Over a length of time, that actually does more harm than good. And let's face it, no matter how much we hide behind this mask and try to pretend that we're the same as everyone else, we're not. We're never going to be. And that's fine. The world is starting to realise, however, that it's these differences that make us who we are, but we still have a long way to go. As people's attitudes and perceptions of neurodiversity start to change, we can only remain hopeful that in time, people will be more tolerant and accepting, and thus, as a result of that acceptance, we will no longer feel the need to hide behind the mask. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and likewise, if you want to see more, click this video that should be appearing on the side of your screen about now. I'll see you there.